This is the account of a husband who quietly recorded every detail the night his wife proclaimed herself free for a single evening. What followed turned into a powerful lesson on personal limits, proof, and real fallout. Let's get into it. She hurled her marriage band straight at my torso and declared that tonight she wasn't my spouse anymore. I simply stood motionless inside our Capitol Hill flat, observing the golden circle ricochet across the wooden planks, and a strange numbness settled deep within me. She snatched her handbag, banged the entrance shut, and her stilettos echoed sharply along the corridor as though she were stepping toward liberation. Plenty of men would have spiraled into frenzy, bombarded her with messages, or stayed awake anxiously hoping for remorseful return. Instead, I retrieved the band, positioned it beneath the bright kitchen fixture, and captured 3 clear pictures from various perspectives. Next, I created a fresh directory on my device titled Proof. Because marriage teaches you one unspoken truth: the instant somebody discards the emblem of your union and proclaims their independence, they've essentially delivered the complete argument into your hands. At 29, after 4 years together, I believed our existence felt secure. We connected during university, committed early, embraced the typical young professional Capitol Hill vibe: brick walls exposed, weekend trips to the local market. My role involved coordinating projects at a technology firm, hers centered on promotion for a city center startup. Our existence appeared flawless online: cozy dinners with Italian dishes, relaxed podcast mornings, the sort of bond that drew relationship goals remarks from friends. Yet roughly 2 months prior to that evening, subtle changes began appearing that I couldn't fully identify. She spent increasing time away, frequently with colleagues from her workplace, regularly returning past midnight reeking of liquor and nightlife haze. Jealousy wasn't my nature, so I avoided confrontation. When I inquired about her evenings, responses came clipped before she headed directly to wash off the night. Suddenly, her device required a code unknown to me. She openly erased conversations while I watched, no longer bothering to conceal the action. I convinced myself this represented a temporary stage, perhaps a craving for independence, that relationships experience cycles and this qualified as a difficult one. In hindsight, I question how many warning signals a person requires before ceasing to rationalize them away. I had been mistaken. That particular Friday, I prepared our usual meal: creamy pasta sauce, toasted herb bread, the complete ritual. 7 arrived, then passed without word. 8 came silently. I consumed dinner solo, stored her portion away, and chose some easy streaming entertainment. She entered at precisely 7:12. I noted the precise moment because my gaze flicked to my wristwatch at the sound of the latch. She walked steadily, entirely sober, and that sobriety unnerved me more than intoxication would have. Her stare treated me like an unfamiliar roommate rather than a partner. I offered to warm her dinner. She responded with a harsh, cutting chuckle. "I'm 27 yet trapped living like I'm middle-aged," she announced, tossing her bag aside. "I'm exhausted from this domestic charade, exhausted from acting like this suffices. Exhausted from you behaving as though we form some ideal pair while I slowly vanish inside it." I remained composed, inquired what troubled her, suggested we discuss her emotions openly. She interrupted sharply, insisting no discussion mattered, rejecting my habit of resolving issues through calm reasoning. Then came the act. She tugged off her wedding band, dangled it between us like proof of my wrongdoing, and uttered the sentence etched permanently in my memory: "This band represents my erasure." She flung it forcefully toward my chest. It struck and dropped. That clatter against the floor rang louder than anything before. "Tonight I'm unattached," she stated, seizing her bag once more, instructing me against waiting, calling, or interfering. And she departed. I remained frozen perhaps 10 minutes, simply gazing at the closed door. Rage didn't surge. Grief didn't overwhelm. Instead, an odd sharpness illuminated everything, as though darkness had suddenly vanished. Right there before our shared space and whatever higher power listened, her actions announced she viewed herself as unattached, not merely needing distance, not separated, fully single. I lifted the discarded ring and, rather than tucking it away tenderly, set it on the surface exactly like courtroom evidence. Then I followed the sensible path any intelligent person takes nowadays. I began carefully logging each fact. In my notes application, I recorded the sequence. Arrival time, precise phrasing to the best of recollection, the thrown ring, her departure after claiming single status. I reviewed our cellular account, activated recording consent allowed under local regulations, verified automatic cloud storage remained enabled. I dialed her number, straight to voicemail. After 20 minutes, another attempt, voicemail once more. By the fifth call near 9:30, she answered. Background noise assaulted my ears, pounding music, voices yelling above it, masculine laughter nearby. She shouted asking my purpose. I inquired about her location and well-being. She laughed mockingly, explained she occupied a nightclub enjoying herself, something beyond my comprehension. A man's voice murmured something indistinct nearby. She giggled, repeated she wasn't my spouse that evening, that she intended to act freely with whomever she chose. Then the line went dead. I preserved the call details, captured screen images, secured backups. I settled onto the sofa and simply exhaled slowly. This transcended argument or temporary difficulty. This constituted her solitary choice to demolish our partnership, and she had self-documented the destruction. Near 10:15, my device vibrated. A picture arrived. Her positioned at an elevated lounge, wedged between two unfamiliar males, one arm draped around one, beverage in hand, beaming widely. Accompanying text read, "Bet you wish you knew how to enjoy yourself." I studied that image extensively, not merely from pain, though pain existed, but because I recognized she had voluntarily supplied damning material. I saved captures, duplicated them across multiple secure locations, established a time-stamped email archive. I sent no reply, offered no emotion, provided nothing she could later weaponize. By 11, I sat at the dining surface, computer open, searching for divorce lawyers practicing in Washington, D.C. I located one highly regarded for intense disputes, known for swift progress. At 11:58, I phoned his after-hours contact. He answered promptly, sounding fully awake. I summarized concisely. Wife discarded wedding jewelry toward me, proclaimed single status, departed, forwarded image posing intimately with strangers, verbally confirmed unrestricted freedom. I possessed audio, images, precise chronology. Silence followed briefly. Then he spoke words that eased every muscle. She just presented your entire matter on a platter. He instructed preserving all items untouched, avoiding contact unless initiated by her, and scheduling office arrival first thing Monday. I ended the call realizing fear had vanished. Only resolution remained. She assumed this stunt would serve as temporary rebellion, that she could indulge her carefree fantasy, then return expecting forgiveness from the dependable, dull partner she left behind. Yet upon her re-entry, proceedings would already advance. That night I slept more soundly than in recent memory. For once, direction felt certain. This segment revealed he refused pursuit or pleading. Instead, he preserved records. Those preceding 8 weeks of concerning behavior constituted no mere phase. They formed the prelude to this decisive break. When somebody verbally claims independence and supplies visual confirmation, that step isn't accidental. It's deliberate. She returned Sunday morning anticipating dialogue. unaware momentum had irreversibly begun. I heard her insert the key near 10:30, drop belongings in the entryway, then hesitate upon noticing me seated calmly at the table holding coffee beside an open computer. She appeared disheveled, eyeliner streaked, strands tangled, still wearing Friday's outfit. She attempted a tentative, conciliatory smile, as though this resembled a trivial domestic disagreement. She inquired whether we might converse, her tone cautious and subdued. I met her gaze steadily and suggested she examine her inbox. Confusion crossed her features. Then she retrieved her phone, scrolled, and I witnessed realization strike. Eyes widening, lips parting in shock as she confronted the divorce filing notice. She thrust the screen toward me, demanding explanation, accusing me of initiating dissolution. I sipped my drink calmly and reminded her she had discarded her ring and proclaimed single status. I had merely accepted her stated position. She began pacing anxiously, hands trembling, insisting the declaration applied solely to that evening, born from frustration without genuine intent. I maintained composure, noting she forwarded photographic evidence alongside two strangers plus a taunting message. That on recorded audio she affirmed unrestricted personal choices. She halted abruptly, voice rising, questioning whether I had taped her conversation, labeling the action domineering, precisely why independence appealed to her. I shook my head gently, distinguishing between preservation and domination. She shifted tactics, seated herself opposite, extending her hand toward mine. I withdrew mine. She admitted wrongdoing, explained feeling confined and reacting impulsively, yet insisted love persisted and destruction wasn't desired. I regarded her carefully, truly regarded her, and registered complete emotional vacancy. I clarified she hadn't merely reacted. She executed deliberate successive decisions, discarding jewelry, claiming independence, departing with others, supplying proof. Tears flowed freely now as she pleaded whether one disastrous evening justified discarding years together, whether effort seemed utterly unwelcome. I rose, emptied remaining coffee down the drain, and posed the question occupying my mind since Friday. Who truly discarded for years? You discarded the ring, I reminded her. Saturday at 8 sharp, I met Richard, experienced mid-50s counsel in crisp attire, who willingly cleared weekend obligations upon sensing genuine urgency. I presented the complete collection, ring photographs scattered across flooring, timed records, audio capture, mocking image text, verbatim statements. He arranged materials methodically across his workspace, as though assembling courtroom material, which indeed he prepared. He confirmed strength of evidence, particularly emphasizing her self-supplied photo alongside verbal independence claim. We reviewed finances, lease solely under my name, full deposit and ongoing payments from my funds exclusively. Joint accounts existed, yet my earnings constituted primary source. Her income reached roughly 60% of mine. No children, no jointly titled real estate beyond typical household contents. He noted diligently, assured electronic filing readiness early Monday to preempt countermeasures. By Saturday afternoon, foundational steps completed. A peculiar tranquility enveloped me, finally acting decisively rather than passively receiving blows. Sunday afternoon, following her arrival, tears, shouting, varied pleas, I outlined reality plainly. Lease stood exclusively in my name. She needed to gather belongings. She stared blankly as though hearing foreign speech, questioning alternative accommodations. I shrugged, recalling her expressed desire for autonomy and single life. She protested loudly, asserting entitlement, claiming ejection impossible. I displayed lease agreement on screen, highlighted sole name and payment history. I suggested friends, sibling, personal arrangements, any option excluding remaining here. She unleashed a torrent of insults, branded me heartless, punitive, unrecognizable compared to the man she wed. I waited silently until words exhausted. Then I voiced the realization crystallizing since Friday night. The husband you married would have remained awake anxiously, granted absolution, permitted repeated disregard. That version no longer exists, I stated. She gathered 2 suitcases amid sobs, slamming compartments while muttering predictions of my future remorse. The instant she exited, I altered entry code, notified property management regarding circumstances, spent remainder of Sunday removing every wedding photograph, each framed beach snapshot, every group celebration image, boxed and stored away. Rooms appeared larger, fresher, finally breathable without constant reminders. Monday morning, Richard submitted petition digitally via district court portal. By afternoon, acceptance confirmed officially. Wednesday morning, process servers delivered documents directly to her workplace. Confirmation arrived via furious call from her sibling, outraged over public humiliation at office. I responded evenly, directing all contact toward legal representation, then disconnected. I blocked sibling, mother, entire family circle, likely launching guilt offensive. Device erupted for 60 minutes, unknown senders flooding messages insisting rashness, insisting forgiveness defined marriage. Every entry deleted immediately. Ever observe how outsiders untouched by similar pain hold firmest convictions regarding proper response? Near 4 that Wednesday, she appeared in building foyer. Security alerted me, inquired whether assent permitted. I declined, requested message delivery of unavailability. Yet I descended anyway, anticipating persistence until statements concluded. She waited near lifts, clearly prepared, hair styled, cosmetics precise, wearing favorite dress of mine. Upon seeing me, her expression brightened hopefully, as though victory neared. She advanced, pleading 5 brief minutes. Arms folded, I invited whatever needed expression. She inhaled deeply, visibly organizing pleas intended to penetrate resolve. She acknowledged dreadful conduct, admitted fault without evasion, yet framed episode as isolated foolishness while I prepared total annihilation. I remained still, countered this wasn't isolated impulsivity but 8 weeks gradual withdrawal, erased communications, midnight returns, culminating in formal independence declaration, plus photographic evidence with others. She reached once more, I retreated. She confessed terror, terror of isolation, terror of losing me, terror she had ruined life's finest element. Tears flowed genuinely now. For one fleeting instant, something almost stirred, almost. You cannot launch destruction then demand reconstruction, I stated. She wept openly, questioning whether 4 years dissolved so simply. I confirmed exactly that, simply. I returned upstairs. She stayed below. From window, I observed her lingering 10 additional minutes before entering vehicle and departing. Final message arrived claiming future regret awaited me. Deleted, blocked, silenced. Couch welcomed me into pure quiet, not oppressive anymore, simply mine. Thursday, Richard informed me she retained counsel, sought support payments plus apartment equity share. Predictable, I remarked, feasible. He chuckled, explained requests possible, yet countered strongly by abandonment evidence. Independence declaration, sole lease documentation plus exclusive financial input proof. Preliminary appearance scheduled 6 weeks hence. Prepare for victim portrayal attempt. I assured readiness, because readiness existed. She anticipated consequence-free upheaval. Friday explosion, weekend indulgence, Monday tearful reconciliation with capitulation expected. Yet one crucial element escaped notice. Documentation formed my response. Tears surfaced only upon discovering choices produce genuine outcomes. Family guilt efforts, theatrical lobby confrontations, cruelty accusations. All represented narrative revision attempts avoiding accountability. Preliminary session occurred Thursday 6 weeks post-filing. I arrived formally attired. Richard accompanied bearing printed materials. Judges appreciate tangible copies still. She entered delayed 10 minutes alongside younger counsel, appearing distinctly uncomfortable. Conservative attire, subdued cosmetics, restrained hairstyle, classic injured spouse presentation. Opposite courtroom sides. Eye contact avoided as she murmured constantly to representation, dabbing tissue frequently. Judge, experienced woman mid-50s, conducted preliminaries efficiently. Opposing counsel rose first, portrayed me as detached and hasty, filing after minor disagreement, expelling spouse homeless, rejecting every reconciliation gesture, framing me as abandoner. Richard responded methodically, presenting materials sequentially like evidence display. Ring images on flooring, club call audio capturing independence claim, mocking photo text with strangers. Objection raised regarding recording legality. Richard cited District one-party consent statute. Judge examined photo extendedly, then addressed my wife directly, confirming she authored message. Nod, barely whispered, accompanied excuse of intoxication and anger without true intent. Judge inquired precise meaning behind independence declaration, plus outings with males. Wife dissolved into tears, explained suffocation within marriage, desperate space need, catastrophic error. Judge expression remained unmoved, merely weary. She questioned my reconciliation willingness. None, I answered steadily. Trust shattered beyond restoration. Temporary rulings issued. Apartment retained by me. Accounts frozen pending division. Support deferred until resolution. Mandatory, single mediation session ordered pre-trial. Opposing side pressed temporary maintenance. Housing absence argued. Richard rebutted voluntary departure post-independence claim plus nearby relatives. Ruling favored our position. Post-hearing she attempted approach. Richard interposed, reminded attorney channel communication required. Over his shoulder she questioned my emotional state, truly nothing felt. Unanswered I departed. Following week subtle online campaign emerged, heartbreak reflections, blindsiding claims, true character revelations. Friend circles flooded supportive comments labeling me variously. I refrained engagement, captured everything, forwarded Richard precautionarily. My associates INQUIRED Chinese letter. Brief version provided. Ring discarded, independence declared. Strangers photographed intimately with mocking note, filing followed. Most expressed unsurprise. Several noticed preceding month, distance. Social withdrawal, constant device focus. One friend admitted witnessing her bar closeness with unknown male weeks earlier during my purported late work hours. Regret surfaced for silence then, yet messenger burden understood. Mediation convened 3 weeks post-hearing inside downtown neutral space. Myself, Richard her counsel, seasoned neutral facilitator. Process outlined. Opportunity resolving without trial, cost-effective, accelerated. Opposing side open demanding apartment appreciation half-share. Retirement contributions half during marriage. Relocation plus initial rent coverage. Richard presented counter. 15,000 lump sum approximating her shared expense inputs throughout marriage. Full claim waiver otherwise. Deemed insufficient. Richard highlighted voluntary abandonment, premarital lease solely mine, extensive behavioral documentation. Facilitator suggested pause. Opposing pair exited hallway. Richard advised firmness, posturing evident, leverage minimal. Return brought direct address request. Attorneys consented, mediator permitted. Across table she trembled, asking, any possibility remaining, any chance whatsoever rebuilding. Anticipated yet impactful hearing allowed. I regarded former life partner, future co-planner, now unrecognizable. None delivered evenly. Eyes shut as though struck, reopening revealed fury replacing sorrow. I despise you, loudly declared, for abandoning, for iciness, for zero effort. Mediator shifted uneasily, cautioned volume. I waited completion silently. Understood, I responded. Simplifies matters. Counsel restrained her, murmured urgently. She subsided, breathing heavily. Further pause offered, declined, I sought conclusion. Opposing side huddled, returned demanding 25,000 plus fee coverage. Richard consulted me, declined, maximum predetermined exceeded. 15,000 reiterated, accept or proceed, publicly displaying full evidence. Impact registered. Another hallway conference, return showed capitulation. Terms accepted. Agreement executed immediately, witnessed properly. Property resolution settled. Divorce finalization awaited standard 60-day district period. Check written 15,000. Comprehensive release signed. Packing concluded. Doorway pause, she turned, gazed lingeringly, attempting perhaps final imprint or comprehension of journey ending. Silent departure followed. Richard offered firm handshake, praised flawless navigation, most crumble beneath emotional pressure. Retainer settled, sunlit exit carried unexpected lightness. 60 days afterward, court notification arrived, dissolution complete. Workplace desk received message, stared briefly at attachment, reducing years to digital file. Forwarded personally, resumed tasks. Weekend brought complete apartment reconfiguration, furniture repositioned, fresh linens, altered wall pieces. Space needed personal identity, not shared relic. Running resumed, activity abandoned post-marriage upon her complaints regarding excessive time. Solo Portland escape followed, no itinerary, pure freedom. Promotion materialized 3 months hence, advancement pursued previously yet sidelined by distraction. Existence gradually belonged solely to me, lived authentically rather than enacted. Acquaintances inquired about new relationships, answered not presently. Space required rediscovering individual identity beyond husband role. Honestly, absence centered not on her person but on vanished stability notion, partnership concept, specific loss absent. That realization confirmed decision correctness. This narrative demonstrates respect alongside trust form non-negotiable relationship bedrock. When actions reveal disregard for jointly constructed life, accepting reality and responding proportionately isn't malice, it constitutes dignity. Record-keeping aimed not at vengeance but narrative protection against revision. What are your thoughts regarding this experience? Share below.